with the fake, delusional, and disingenuous. He stands as a beacon of truth. He is Abuki Cabal. You are listening to Abuki Cabal.
Welcome to the Abuki Cabal Show.
What's going on, everybody? Thank everybody for sharing, and subscribing and sticking with me throughout the shows. I want to thank all my subscribers and contributors. And excuse me. This show we're going to call the Slick and the Dead. And this show is going to be covering the Southwest CEO who tested positive for COVID days after unmasked Senate hearing with other airline chiefs. And also Washington State Senator Doug Erickson dies at 52 after he contracted COVID after denying its existence and championing all of the treatments that haven't been advised or recommended by any of the reputable healthcare agencies. And we'll take a look at that. His story was pretty tragic. He went down badly. He was calling up to the Republicans here to send him monoclonal antibodies and other treatments that they wouldn't treat him with in Venezuela. And he ended up dying from his infection. All the while begging for them to extract him from Venezuela and bring him back home so that he could be treated. That's pretty bad for you to champion all these other treatments and misdirect people and send them in every other direction other than the right one, as far as protecting themselves, wearing masks, all of that. He was against all of that. And he put himself in a situation and he perished. But we'll look into that a little bit deeper. But we're going to start out with the Southwest CEO who put senators and his fellow airline chiefs in jeopardy. And as you can see here, in the picture down here, okay, Southwest CEO tests positive for COVID days after unmasked Senate hearing with other airline chiefs. Okay, that was on the 17th. Okay, and as you can see here, he was coughing all during the hearing, and you see the lady in the back looking at him like she's concerned. While he's up here coughing and covering his mouth, yet he's sitting right next to another gentleman who's up in age, who has been quite possibly exposed to his infection, which is selfish and tragic, to say the least. But we'll go through this article and you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. All right, senators quizzed executives during the more than 3-hour hearing about flight cancellations despite billions in payroll support, vaccine, and mask mandates and other topics. The Southwest CEO, Kelly, and other witnesses and lawmakers didn't wear masks. So all of those people were possibly exposed. Strong possibility that they were exposed to this gentleman's COVID infection, which I'm sure he concealed, but it's speculation. The airline said Kelly had tested negative for COVID in the days before the hearing. And let's see. But he should have been tested as a security precaution before meeting with the senators. I mean, it's a security risk. If you were going to meet the president or anybody else, you'd be tested not days before, but hours before, minutes before. So let's move on. Southwest Airlines CEO Gary Kelly tested positive for COVID-19 after a Senate hearing with other airline chiefs earlier this week, the airline said Friday. Kelly, along with the CEOs of United Airlines, American Airlines, Delta Airlines, the chief of operations, and president of the country's largest flight attendants union, testified in person for more than 3 hours at the Senate Commerce Committee hearing Wednesday afternoon. About $54 billion in federal payroll support airlines took to weather the pandemic. Witnesses and lawmakers didn't wear masks during the hearing. Most of the other attendees wore face masks. Although testing negative multiple times prior to the Senate Commerce Committee hearing, Gary tested positive for COVID-19 after returning home, experiencing mild symptoms, and taking a PCR test. A Southwest spokeswoman said in a statement, Gary is doing well and currently resting at home. He has been fully vaccinated and received the booster earlier this year. Gary's symptoms continue to be mild, and each day he is moving closer to a full recovery. Okay. If he was coughing during the Senate hearings, that means that he is exhibiting one of the symptoms that would exclude you from a meeting like that. But I don't understand why all these people are still meeting, having these mass groups and not wearing masks. I mean, it's like some show of solidarity for a false notion that you don't have to wear a mask when everybody and every entity is wearing masks when there are groups of people. I mean, we're still recommending that people don't meet in large groups. Even if you're vaccinated, you still should be wearing a mask. You should not possibly put yourself at risk or your family members or other people because you have a false notion of feeling safe. It's out there. You just don't know where it is, and you don't know who's going to infect you. You don't know who's being lazy, who's being laxed about the precautions, who's vaccinated and who isn't vaccinated. So you have to take precautions. And you don't know who's going to have a mild case of it, who's going to have an extremely severe case of it, a case of the virus. You just don't know. And it's not worth the risk. United's CEO Scott Kirby, who sat to Kelly's left in the hearing, tested negative for COVID as of Friday, according to a person familiar with the matter. American CEO Doug Parker tested negative on Friday, a spokeswoman said. Okay. And I'll give you guys an example. Each time that I've worked COVID units and we had people become infected. The latest one on the unit that I'm working now, it's one person tested positive on Friday. And from that, we have 5 other people 2 days later. So these people can pop at any time, or anybody in that room that he was close to could pop at any time after that. It doesn't have to be the people that he was sitting next to. It could have been people he was around in the hallways or walking to the podium or to the area where they were seated. So, you don't know. who is going to be infected by who or whom. So a lot of this is to give people, I guess, a feeling of, everything's going to be okay. But I mean, until you're okay, you're not okay. And every time, I've worked these units, and this is like, I lost count. But this is the latest. And each time it starts with one person, and then, there are groups after that. And it happens in days, The people are symptomatic, and then they pop days later. But by the time they're symptomatic, they've infected other people, to the tune of one person, infecting, 2 to 3 other people. So, I mean, it's just a bad scenario. As much of this that we can prevent by taking precautions, we should. But let's move along. Delta Chief of Operations John Lofter, who testified in the hearing on Wednesday and sat 2 seats away from Kelly, tested negative Thursday and Friday. Okay. He will continue to test and take other precautions as necessary, the airline said in a statement. How about wearing masks? How about wearing masks around people, in groups of people, in all your meetings? How about doing that? What people recommended in the first place. Why not do that? Instead of taking this position, like, you're giving people a false impression that they don't have to wear masks. I mean, it's irresponsible. Okay. So Sarah Nelson, president of the Association of Flight Attendants, sat to Lofter's left. I was advised by Gary Kelly shortly after he tested positive, and ironically, just as I was returning to work after getting the booster shot. She said, okay, so she got the booster shot after meeting in that group, which she could be infected, then take a booster shot, and that's not recommended. But let's move along. She said in a statement, I am following CDC protocols and will test several times within the 5 to 7 day recommended period and before traveling with my family for the holidays. Senators questioned witnesses on recent flight disruptions, airlines hiring trouble, 5G, as well as vaccine and mask mandates. I'm sure you know how that went. Nobody in the room wanted to wear masks, so I'm sure they were probably saying, "Oh, we don't have to do that. We don't have to wear masks. We don't have to mandate anything." But if we don't mandate anything, then people won't do it. And we can't count on people being adult enough to make the right decisions. So what you're going to do is you're going to be treated like children, and that's unfortunate. But some people are forcing people's hands, I mean, I don't advocate that, but I mean, common sense would tell you that's what governments do when they feel like their options are limited. I mean, history is not in people's favor if they go back and look at their history books. I mean, anytime the government wants you to do something, they ask you nicely and you say no, then what happens next? All right. During the hearing, when Senator Roger Wicker, Republican of Mississippi, asked airline CEOs whether they foresee passengers not having to wear masks on board, Kelly touted the effectiveness of onboard air filtration and circulation systems and said, I think the case is very strong that masks don't add much, if anything in the air cabin environment. Wow. There you go. So this is the slick part where everybody's being slick so that they can accommodate most of the passengers that they can on these flights. And they don't want to get into the politics of advocating for masks when a lot of people don't want to wear them. I'm sure they've tested the waters. They've probably, done some checking and some surveys and whatnot, and come to the conclusion that people are just not comfortable wearing them. A lot of us in healthcare, we don't like wearing them for long periods of time. They're not designed for us to be wearing them for long periods of time, but we got to do what we got to do, and we just have to do what we got to do. And these people are not showing leadership. What they're doing is they're trying to do what's comfortable for them. And in being a leader, sometimes you have to do things that aren't comfortable. These things put you in tough spots, and you have to make tough decisions. So if you keep that in mind, you'll see that a lot of people that we think are leaders are not necessarily leaders. They do what's comfortable for them. Okay. So the Biden administration has required that bus passengers wear face masks since February, though airlines began requiring them in the spring of 2020. As the pandemic began earlier this month, the Biden administration extended the mandate through March the 18th. On Friday, Kelly softened his tone and said he supported the federal mandate during the hearing. I confused some with a short answer to the question about masks, he wrote in a staff note in which he also disclosed his positive result. Funny how he changed his stance once he found out he was positive, huh? So, to be clear, I and Southwest, and along with U.S. airline lobbying group, Airlines for America, are all aligned and support the current federal mask mandate at airports and on airplanes. The majority of our employees and customers have felt it has been an important layer of protection, and I certainly agree with that. He continued, so we'll continue to rely on the advice of our medical experts regarding the necessity of masks, and my apologies for any confusion. How many of y'all think that that's a genuine stance? Have you ever known people who are in these positions to not be clear and concise about what they want done when they are in a position to make sure that something is done? I've never seen that happen, and I've been around some pretty high up folks. They don't mix words, and they rarely put you in a position where you're confused by their response. But moving along. American Airlines CEO Doug Parker immediately after Kelly's response in the hearing said, "I concur." But the company on Thursday issued a statement saying he meant to concur with the comments made by other witnesses about the high quality of the aircraft cabin air, and did not intend to cast doubt on the necessity of face masks on the planes. So a further statement even muddies up the waters even more to where you don't know what the hell they're talking about. Wow. I mean, this is just comical. I mean, you're seeing this type of tap dancing all over the place, and with all kinds of statements from these businesses who want to waffle on whether they're going to do what's required or whether they're going to take a wishy-washy stance that will allow people to continue to support their businesses and, continue with business as usual. But we cannot do business as usual, unless we're willing to weather the casualties. And if people don't care about how many people are sick and dead, then just say that. Okay. Parker later published a long statement on his Instagram account saying that the airline supports the mask mandate and that he should have been clearer in my response to one question that he's led to a misrepresentation of Americans' position on the mask mandate. Air travel has been one of the industries hardest hit by the pandemic. Demand has since recovered, mostly thanks to domestic leisure trips. Executives from Delta and United this week said they are gearing up for a busy year in holiday season despite the spread of the Omicron variant. We will see. We will see. Okay, that's the first story there. And let's move on to Washington State here. Okay, Washington State Senator Doug Erickson dies at 52. All right, Olympia, Washington. Senator Doug Erickson, Republican of Whatcom County, has died. Washington State Senator, State Senate Republican caucus said the senator passed away on Friday. He was 52 years old. The Ferndale Republican's death came weeks after he said he tested positive for the coronavirus while in El Salvador. Though his cause of death wasn't immediately released, he leaves behind 2 daughters and a wife. We are heartbroken to share that our husband and father passed away on Friday, December the 17th. Please keep our family in your prayers and thank you for continuing to respect our privacy in this extremely difficult time. In other words, don't contact us. Don't make fun of us because we didn't do what we were told to do. Okay. Last month, Erickson tested positive for COVID-19 in El Salvador. He was taken to a hospital in Florida where it was reported that he was in stable condition and on the road to recovery. When asked if he was vaccinated against the coronavirus, Erickson said, I think that's a personal decision for people to make in terms of vaccine and whether they want to reveal that. And I'm not for vaccines or against vaccines, but that's up to each individual to make that decision on their own. Governor Jay Inslee issued a statement in response to the senator's death, saying, Trudy and I send our deepest condolences to Doug's family, friends, and colleagues. Our hearts are with them. So I guess they finally got him out. Okay. So there you have it. I had another story where he was, frantically trying to get back to the States, and they left him down there. So it looks like they finally extracted him and brought him home, and by that time it was too late. So, as you can see, even while he was dying, he was, still towing the line because he thought that it was going to probably benefit him politically. But you can't benefit from something politically if you're dead. I know that sounds insensitive, but it's kind of not. This isn't that tough, ladies and gentlemen. It's not that tough. All you got to do is just follow the recommendations. You don't have to, zigzag through a whole mental gymnastics program in order to find another option, because it's just not that tough. Take the vaccine. If you choose not to take the vaccine, you got to wear a mask. You got to social distance. You got to keep yourself out of harm's way. It is what it is. And, it's not tough to see these people and their whole rational exercise is flawed. You got people out here saying all kinds of crazy stuff like viruses are living organisms. Viruses are not living organisms. We do know that much about them. They're not living organisms. And you got PhDs out here saying this stuff, to where people are asking, what the hell is his PhD in? If he's, he's saying that these things about viruses, and it's just crazy. It's all over the place. And the things that people are saying, the things that people are doing it's crazy. And I understand people want to get back to the way life was, prior to all of this, but I'm not sure that that's going to be happening anytime soon. Omicron is coming, And we are starting to see these rates rising continuously in the northern states, and it's starting to spread across other areas. So, be on the lookout, do what you're supposed to do, make sure that you are taking the precautions that you should take, and everybody be safe out there. And thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And I think I'm going to go off in here and get me some rest.
You are listening to Abuki Cabal, the analytical savage.
I feel like a motherless child alone.